Carly Avener, Chief Executive Officer of Burnett. Thank you so much for coming for an after-work chat. What does after-work mean to you?
After work is where the chaos happens, where I'm still working, the phone's still going, I've got kids stuff to do.
It's the juggle.
But I have a new routine in the evenings, which is a half an hour yoga stretch before bed, which is amazing, and it just switches me off from the day, gets me off the phone, and I sleep really well after.
No TV, no phones.
TV, no. Yeah.
This sounds...
It's amazing.
Because you've had sleep issues, haven't you? So a bit of insomnia.
Yeah, insomnia is my Achilles heel.
And I remember you and I talked about your insomnia when you were probably managing partner level, which is a really hectic time. And then it carried on after your daughter was born.
Yeah.
And for me, no sleep is the killer. It's like I cannot function the next day. How did you get through all of that?
Actually, a lot of like mindfulness, and so much of it is about almost the acceptance of it, which is the thing that helps you overcome it. The fight against the insomnia is almost the thing that keeps you awake.
So sitting there going, I can't sleep, and stressing
and
out
worrying about the next day. And now I just have to say to myself, at least you're in bed resting. You can cope the next day because you've done it before and you'll be fine. And then that's how I get through it. But it's so much better now than it was before.
And that's due to probably being careful with yourself, finding out what works.
Yes, exactly. Staying off the phone in the evening is the main thing.
So you have been recently promoted to Chief Executive Officer.
Yes.
What on earth does a CEO do? Please?
Good question. I don't know. Does anyone know?
That.
So, look, I think it really depends on the organisation, on the team that you've got around you. But in my role for a chief exec is set the vision and the pace and the ambition for the agency to really motivate everyone. A lot of it is also managing people and getting the best out of people's performances and being a bit more external facing. So winning new business, building the agency brand. Like my job spec is the job spec for the agency. So it really depends on what your business is trying to achieve.
When you were promoted to CEO, was it a big step change, or did you feel like you were doing a lot of the job already?
So I'd been managing director of the agency for 4 years already, and I had joined to be part of the team that was turning the agency around. But there's something really interesting that happens when you are given a title and you just feel a bit more like that leader. Even though I had all the freedom and all the autonomy in the world, I feel like I've got even more permission now to kind of lead the way that I want to lead and make the decisions that I want to make.
Well, it's your baby.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
I've never really seen you stressed, whether it's about a promotion or whether it's a pitch. Like, I just haven't seen it in you. Are you hiding it really well?
Well, I think I do get stressed. My natural tendency is to internalise that, probably more than I should, probably more than is healthy. But I feel that as I've become more senior, I get less stressed. You know what you're good at, and you can rely on your experience and your instincts a lot more so than when you're junior and you're kind of like, I genuinely don't know what I'm doing. And you build a team around you, and it's about the team and it's not everything on your shoulders.
And you've also had amazing support from your bosses.
Yeah, I think that is the key to alleviating kind of stress and pressure, is just having that self-belief. And it's hard to find it, but once you do, I would say it's life-changing.
Well, you just wrote an article for Campaign about imposter syndrome, and I think about it a lot because I think I'm crippled with it. Like, I don't think I realised until everyone started talking about it, but even every time I post on LinkedIn, which is a massive part of my job, I'm like, oh my God, everyone hates me, to that extent. But I want to hear a bit more about your imposter syndrome and your experience.
Yeah. So I got to a point in my career where this lack of confidence and lack of self-belief, this imposter syndrome, was just taking up so much space in my head. And I think unless you're a complete psychopath, everyone has that element of, am I good enough? You look around and you compare yourself to other people. And I think that to a degree that's normal and that's healthy. But when it becomes overwhelming and when it really is stopping you taking a step forward, that's when it's really a problem. I was working for an amazing agency that was top of its game. Everyone that I worked with I thought was so clever and so brilliant. I had so much respect for them, and I just really thought that I fell short. And it got to the point where I wasn't sleeping very well, and it was really, really holding me back. Thankfully, I kind of reached out for help, and I got given an amazing coach. And that was really the turning point for me, and she really helped me to understand that it was all coming from me. If the people that I respected and thought so brilliant and amazing believed in me, why didn't I believe in myself? That just flipped a switch in my head. So it's seeing it for what it is, which is your own self-limiting beliefs, not anyone else's.
If you don't have that incredible boss who puts your needs before theirs and helps encourage you and fills you with confidence, what do you do?
Finding a good mentor, I think, can really help you to identify where your strengths are and how to find your confidence. And actually mentoring other people also is a brilliant way of making you realise how much you know and how much value there is in your experience.
Let's talk about Leo Burnett and your extremely happy culture.
I think culture is a strategic lever for us as part of our success. I think these days, the best people, the most ambitious people, put a lot of their time and their life into work. And I think it's our responsibility to make sure that they have the best conditions, the best environments to thrive and flourish, whether that's looking after their mental health and overall wellness, whether that's giving them opportunity to release the pressure and have fun and celebrate their successes or their challenges and connect with their colleagues, then we do invest in that, because I think Jim Carroll once said this: positive people have bigger, better ideas. So it is a strategic kind of imperative. But I think above and beyond that, everyone is looking for belonging and connection, and I think your workplace can provide that. We're not trying to replace family life or friendships, but we are a big part of people's lives. And I've made some of my best friends through work in the industry. You know, we knew each other before work, but actually I think our relationship has evolved through our connection with the industry.
Shared love of it.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
And I want people to want to come to work and to want to give 100% and feel that they're being not just paid fairly, but valued and rewarded and getting something enriching from work.
And I think the difference between when we started, life outside of work wasn't respected by either us or our employers.
Yeah.
And now that's the biggest switch that I've seen, is there's a huge respect for the fact that people have lives outside of work, and we're really trying to make sure that there is that balance.
As leaders, we try and role model that. I don't expect anyone to have a meeting with me or talk to me in the evenings, at weekends, unless it's exceptional and, you know, there's a pitch. But honestly, even with pitches now, it happens really, really rarely.
Do you remember all those all-nighters we used to pull?
Crazy, absolutely crazy.
That's part of the reason I think new business wasn't as attractive to a lot of people, because they were like, but won't I just be expected to be working on pitches until whatever hour in the morning every week?
Yeah.
You know, we have to make a stand and go, that's not what it's like anymore.
It's not. I think some departments bear the brunt of that a bit more than others, like our beloved design department are often the ones who are working late, but we make sure that we resource those teams so that it doesn't fall on the same people every time. We're really choiceful about how much we pitch and who we pitch for, to make sure that we've got A, good chance of success, and B, that it's not just a relentless cycle of pitching for anything and everything.
You're quite careful as well, aren't you, about who you're matched with? Who's the right client? Who's the right brand? Do we have the same ambition?
Exactly. And I think because we've built our brand and we've got a really strong proposition around populist creativity, I think we're almost self-selecting about the clients that want to work with us. So 9 times out of 10, it is a good match and we are up for it. But we turn down so many pitches every year because either it's not the right fit or the timings don't work for us, or we're not sure about the client's ambition. Is it going to really match ours?
What do you mean about the timings don't work for us?
So we might be in the middle of a pitch and they want to kick off another one the following week and we're like, we just can't do it. We won't do a good job, and unless we can give 100%, we just know we won't win if we're not completely focused. And sometimes that's really painful. Sometimes it's brands that you really would love to work for and you think, oh, we could win that, but not under these circumstances. And some clients really get that, and we've had clients that have changed the process and moved the timings to make it work for us. But if they can't, and that's completely fair enough, then respectfully, we're just not going to do it.
You've just promoted a room of really talented people. How are you helping that team grow into their roles?
They've been promoted at the point where they've got enough experience of the role and enough exposure to kind of the senior management team that they get what's expected and how we do things, so that they're not completely fresh. So there's a lot of support for them. They're kind of running alongside their line managers, as it were, the people that they're taking over from. And gradually those stabilisers will come off and it will be over to them when we kind of feel they're ready.
I think that support was missing for me a lot in my career. Nothing was explained. Like, I was never sat down and said, now that you are this level, you are expected to do X, Y, and Z, and I will help you for the next 3 months, and then you can fly on your own. I never had that.
I didn't either at the beginning of my career, and I think that's when things like imposter syndrome really set in, because if you're not clear about what's expected, then you don't really know if you're achieving what's expected. And you might have your annual appraisal, but that's not enough to give you feedback and validation and direction, especially when you're junior. Even though you're coming into a senior role, you might only be 6 or 7 years into your career with a lot of responsibility, but not a huge amount of support.
Finish the sentence. If I wasn't in advertising, I would be
a therapist or a personal trainer or a nutritionist. All we've got is our health. If you haven't got that, nothing else really matters.
What's the best piece of advice you could give somebody about to start their career in advertising?
I think just make sure you're working somewhere where you're learning the whole time, that you're challenged enough, but you've got the support as well. If you're doing something that you enjoy and you're learning and you're being challenged and you're being supported, then I think you're in a really good place.